I have literally nothing for you, Craig, today. Just I'm still
You,
upset about last week.
yeah, generally you're just reprimanding him for things that he did or didn't do.
Usually didn't.
Usually didn't, yeah. Well, I mean, at least the recordings were fine last week. That's always an improvement. So.
But he brought me a survey. That was terrible.
I actually feel like we need to tell that story tonight on this podcast. Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
I mean,
No,
I think well, hold on a second. I think it is one of my grumpiest DM stories.
Yeah.
There we go.
No,
That's true.
that is for the guests.
I think
tonight,
Dan should tell the
not
story.
for us.
All right. So we're the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm Jay. I'm joined with my co-host Christopher, Christian, and Dan. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello there.
Hi, guys. Very simple. Hi, guys.
Wow, Chris actually said hi, guys, this time. He normally doesn't. So, Christian, where can they find us on social media?
You can find the Grumpy Dungeon Masters podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, or wherever else you get your podcasts. You can also listen to it on YouTube. You can also look out for us. We are streaming on Twitch various video games of adventure and daring do or just wacky hijinks. Look for us on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. And coming soon, I have consulted the runes. I have seen the strands of fate woven that this will come to pass, as inevitable as Thor's thunder, as tricksome as Loki himself. We will find the return of Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher's D&D 5e game, Waterdeep World-Born Dead.
Coming to Twitch someday near
Thanks
you.
for, again, putting me on the spot. But you didn't mention that we're playing Valheim. And the reason we've been playing Valheim was because we wanted to get all the Vikingness possible out there for today's guest.
Indeed. So introduce yourself, today's guest.
Hi, I'm Erica Lowe. I'm the owner of Broken Brain Games, creator of Ragnaborg, a Viking hack for Pirate Borg and Morkborg.
Excellent.
We
So-
are professionals.
when Dan brought this up that we want to have the Kickstarter, I was just kind of like, oh, another Morkborg thing, because like my wife had been sending me different settings, hacks for Morkborg and whatnot, and we had played a lot of Pirate Borg, and I was just like, really, when does the obligatory Cthulhu board come out? And that's kind of where my mindset was. And
Well,
then
first off, hold on a second. Now.
hold on.
No.
So
hold on
then
a
I
second.
took a look at her Ragnaborg Kickstarter, and I was really impressed. I really liked it. I mean, I've seen a bunch. I've seen a bunch of different ones, like the Vampire Victorian one, and that one's okay. But I was blown away by the Ragnaborg one. Like honestly, like I was like, okay, I have to back this. So I just want to be like, that's my like little introduction to your setting, and like I said, I've been looking forward to it since then.
Well, I appreciate
Right.
that.
All right, Dan. Now you can scold me. So,
No,
for
I
some
was just
reason.
gonna give you shit for like trying to throw in like a Cthulhu Borg or something like that. Are you forgetting Slavborg? Come on, man. Cyborg, Corp Borg.
Bunny
Nice.
Borg.
Yeah, Bunny.
Is there a Bunny
Yeah.
Borg? I had to look at that.
There is a Bunny Borg. The book is really cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
Chris, you know your wife has already
he's
got
already
it.
like trying to order it, or she already did actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eric, I was really excited to see whenever I was signing up for games at GaryCon that there was some Ragnaborg being run, even though the Kickstarter hasn't, the Kickstarter happened last November, but the PDFs and the hardcover books have not released yet. But I was very excited to see that you guys were running it. And GaryCon convinced one of my buddies to come join me to play, and we ran through Gauntlet of the Gods, which was amazing. It was a fantastic gauntlet. It felt very thematic and very appropriate to Viking mythology and Norse mythology, and from the get go, at the very beginning, I don't want to spoil it because it's one of the one of the Kickstarter gauntlets that you can purchase on or pre-order if you haven't already got it on the Kickstarter. But had a great time with it. You showed up, and I believe there was a Viking raid at some point,
Yes.
and I think one of my 4 characters died during that. That was fun. um, but yeah, I absolutely a huge fan. Downloaded I after the fact after I started prepping, I guess, kind of for the interview, doing a little research and found that you had actually written this previously back in 2023 based on an idea from somebody else. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I had assumed
Yeah.
that this was just kind of a whole cloth thing, and last fall I was like, holy shit. Why didn't Viking Borg already exist? The thing's literally called fucking Borg.
Yeah. I appreciate you signing up at GaryCon, and yeah, it was the rating into games is something that I came up with, and I was like, it would be fun to do that. And I have a really funny story about that. I'll tell that later.
Okay.
So yes, Ragnaborg Saga of the Chosen was born at GaryCon 2023.
Okay.
I went because I had been telling my friend Kurt Benedis that I wanted to try and make something. And he said, well, just come to GaryCon. And I know some people in the industry, and, I'll show you around, introduce you to people. I'd never been to GaryCon. And I went, and, it's like day 2. I met this guy. His name's Anthony. He owns Town and Claw. And we became kind of like fast friends. We were sitting in a bar, and he looked at Kurt and said, I want someone to make an adventure where Thor drops his hammer and you go and get it. And he said, I want you to write that and I'll pay you to do it. And Kurt said, awesome, but you have to hire Erica too. And so Kurt and I started working on it. We wrote it in 4 months, play tested it, and then we had a zine ready to sell at the Talon and Claw booth, GameholeCon 2023.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
and then 2024, I did something for DCC third party and some stuff for more stuff for Mark Borg and some Shadow Dark stuff. And he started streaming. And during the initial zine, I was like, we got to take this to Pirate Borg. I was like, I can see it. We can have ships and all this stuff. And
Oh yeah, you
and
can't have
it
Vikings
was
without
like,
ships.
yeah, and exactly. Vikings need to have their ships, and it was like we were hired to make X, Erica. We got to stick to this, and so he's and so time goes on. We kind of make some other stuff, and then I was like, I really want to get back into Ragnaborg, and he was like, I really just want to stream, and so he's doing that, and I went with Odin and
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
took what we made together, reworked it, fixed what I felt like needed to be fixed, and built upon it, and that's what you see on Kickstarter now.
Yeah, and definitely leveled up the art to be on par with like what Lowe produces for Pirate Borg. Like the art's fantastic. What
Yeah,
samples
Matt
have
does a
been
great
seen?
job.
So
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
very, very, very thematic. It
Yeah,
fits.
and also
And
incredible story on how you got into the biz. That's fucking awesome.
yeah, well, it's like people talk about, oh, the journey always starts at a tavern, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird. I was like, oh, it kind of did. I mean, it's dumb luck, I guess you'd say.
Okay. I mean, hey, I mean, we I think we went to GaryCon. What first year was 2025, and everybody. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you met the people that you were meant to meet. We've gone there and continued meeting people that we've continued to interview and been inspired by, or have been inspired by in the past. So, I mean, it's amazing that you've come on this journey as well so quickly, it would seem. But I mean, that's a writing for DCC, you're already speaking Jay's language. He absolutely adores DCC.
I love
Um,
DCC.
Same.
but
Yeah, the first thing I ever made, like zine wise, was for DCC. Um, and so yeah, that's why there's a crit chart in my Borg, and there's not a crit chart in anybody else's Borg, really.
speaking of which, do we all should we yell "Yay Violence"?
Yay,
Yay
violence!
Violence!
Yay, violence!
Okay, that's not funny.
If you want to get me interested in a game, just have the phrase "Yay, violence" as part of the game. I'm in. I'm sold.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've all of us have played Pirate Borg. Some of us may have played other Borgs. What distinguishes Ragnaborg from the other Borgs that people have played? I mean, I've seen I saw your Viking Day release because of the kicks. Obviously, did the Kickstarter and has some of the basic rules which I recall from the table when we played Gauntlet of the Gods. But
Yeah.
can you kind of just expand on what's a little bit different and what's kind of just the same sort of I guess uh, basic Borg rule system?
Yeah, to me, one of the things I like about Borg is if you've played one, you kind of feel familiar with all of them. And
Hmm.
so my worry was about naval combat was, how do I make Ragnaborg's naval combat feel appropriate for Vikings, and how do I adapt it to my world?
Right.
Taking what Limithron has made and kind of building upon it. And so if you're familiar with Pirate Borg, speaking from naval combat standards, is you can go out and find there's a grove of trees that are randomly throughout my world called Broken Midgard. They're connected to Yggdrasil, the world tree, and so they're magical. If you add their planks to your ship, so it gives you a ship upgrade, you can evoke runes on your ship. Also, long ships, the way that the Vikings built them, they are the same shape, front, middle, and back. So when they would go down narrow rivers or come to like maybe a dead end in a lake or whatever, if
Hmm.
they didn't have to actually turn their ship around, they could
Right.
reverse it because they had basically a paddle that was kind of what they used as their rudder. So they would just move that paddle and switch around how they rode, and they reversed their ship. So that's a
Huh.
new correction. My world is completely dark since the sun and moon have been consumed in the beginning of Ragnarok. And so you have to have light in order to sail, unless you want to sail in the dark, which makes it more difficult because Jormungandr, the sea serpent, has released their tail and it's forever churning the ocean. There's icebergs because it's a frozen world, so you have to worry about hitting those. So runes can give you light in order to see, can do your broadside attacks, bringing down lightning from Thor, shooting fireballs from a dragon, um, trying to bring the other ships to you, versus like doing faraway combat, trying to get the ships closer together as soon as possible to get into that melee.
Yeah.
So those are some differences in naval combat. Of course, we talked about the crit chart, yay
Hmm.
violence. Um, Another difference is which you played Gauntlet of the Gods is what I call my trial, which is inspired from Dungeon Crawl Classic Funnel. If you're a Shadow Dark person, Kelsey calls it
Yeah.
Gauntlet. I talked to
Yeah.
Joseph Goodman. I was like, hey, are you cool if I kind of bring that to Borg because I love DCC so much? And he was like, go for it. And so yeah, if you've played a funnel in DCC or Shadow Dark Gauntlet, then you're familiar. It's 4 characters, 0 level. So there's are a couple differences that I have. Um, I mean, everything else, if you're used to playing a Borg, 9 times out of 10, you need 12. So that's still there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we actually did play a Shadow Dark Gauntlet as our first Shadow Dark game, and it was funny enough from Curse Scroll 3, which is her Viking themed Curse Scroll, Hold of
Yeah.
the Sea Wolf King. So
Yep.
I
Got the
think
ship in
I
it.
think
Yeah.
I think Chris lost 6 characters in that, maybe something like that. How many was it, Chris?
It was about 6. It was all the goblins in a trench.
It was the
Kobolds in a
kobold.
trench coat.
Yeah, it was a trench coat full of kobolds, I think.
And one halfling that was disguised as a kobold. The reason was is when we did the funnel, they passed around the sheets, and I was the last person to get the sheets. And I just had a stack of kobolds as sheets. I was just like, all right, these are all my characters now. One of them.
Yeah. Well, I am excited to read about the naval combat rules since I've only really experienced the the gauntlet aspect of it. But I don't recall the name of the DM who DM'd for us, but he did kind of explain what all the different character classes are, which are obviously vastly different than what you'd find in like a pirate Borg. But
Yeah.
And also the other thing that he said is that obviously. You wanted to bring in Limithron's ash effects, which you
Yes.
obviously loved from Pyreborg, which we also love from Pyreborg.
I was about to bring
later
up
on.
the
Jay
ash,
has a
yeah.
very funny story about that. But before we talk about Agat's ash effects, could you go over kind of the classes of Ragnaborg?
Yeah, so we have a shield maiden. Doesn't have to be a maiden if somebody wants to play them as like a shield person.
Yeah.
Your standard axe, shield. Hunter is somebody who needs to be stealthy in order to hunt in the woods. They either can have like bows, daggers. They also get a trusted beast, which you could have like a polar bear or a red
Oh, yeah.
squirrel.
Ooh.
Nice.
So you could also play beast because I like that aspect of Pirate Borg as well. The idea that you
Yeah.
could play
Yeah.
as like animals is always fun. We have Berserker, who takes the mushrooms and goes into a hallucinogenic rage, which can result in death, which is
Oh
good
yeah.
because in Ragnaborg, death is celebrated, right? You want to
Yeah.
die epically in battle.
You're
Another
talking Chris's
difference.
language here. He loves playing characters that do that, don't you, Chris?
I like to die, as we kind of talked about
Yeah.
pre-podcast. I died.
Every frenzy berserker.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead and keep going.
You're fine. I've got a seer. They have a rune bag. They have 12 runes in that bag. You can find binding runes, which are collections of runes that are more powerful spells, and you can trade out your runes. So there's like an encouragement to explore to try and find better spells in that aspect. They also can create an effigy, which is they carve it out of stone or wood, breathe life into it, give it a purpose. It's covered in runes. And if they fail their purpose, they explode, dealing their max HP to everything around it. Or if they succeed, they deactivate, they go in the garden or the home. Vikings would have effigies, give them a purpose to like protect their house or help with the harvest, things of that nature. So I wanted to bring that tradition into the game, and you get to play as one of those statues, if you will.
That's cool.
There's also outsider, which is somebody who's not Viking. There's a warrior and a devout, so somebody who is like a holy warrior, somebody who is more of like I'd like best explanation I can give you is from the Viking show, The Priest.
Yeah, the guy that gets
Yep.
captured and taken back, and
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. That's a great call.
So just like a nod to that there. Trying to make sure I didn't for anything. I think, yep, that's it.
I think you missed the scald as well.
Oh, it's
Oh,
the
yeah.
Scald. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, so they use magic by doing music. So it's like a bard. It's horrible. I forgot my own class. It's been a long day.
No, that's no problem. That's okay. That's awesome. So okay, we got the classes down, and I definitely would love to play any of those. Those all sound very unique and definitely thematic for your setting. As far as Ash goes, how does it differ, and why does it exist in Broken Midgard as opposed to how it exists in Limithron's Dark Caribbean?
So people always talk like a call to action, right? Like as a game designer or adventure writer, you need to give players a reason to go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
Ash is a call to action. The lore in my world is Loki and his daughter Hel and Helheim decide that, I mean, they're trying to build up an army, right, of undead to fight Odin and his warriors, right, during the last battle of Ragnarok. So how do we get people that are starving and the world is ending probably around them to go out and fight the dead? Make it to where when the dead die, they can turn it into a drug and it's addictive. So any ash addict will willingly run into a horde of skeletons or droger in order to like consume the powdery substance they leave behind.
This
And
track, yeah, this tracks with my experience with Ash.
yeah. And so Fenrir is also, he is who controls the market in my world. So Fenrir, if you're not familiar, just in case, he is a giant wolf. He is a child of Loki. And he eventually breaks free of his chains in Helheim and runs free around Broken Midgard, and he slashes portals to other realms. So if you are playing in Broken Midgard and there's a bunch of portals to Helheim active, the Ash Market is flooded. If there's few or even none, and it's just the dead that have risen that were present in the world, then Ash is more valuable. So that's kind
Huh.
of how the market differs from
Okay.
what's in Pirate Borg.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
have your
so-
own list of Ash effects specific for
Yes,
Ragnaborg.
I do, and I'm actually working on something that for the that's going to come later, hopefully, if people like all this. Um, that is a an ash mead. So it's mead that's infused with ash, and it'll
Oh
have
my
lore of
god.
how that works.
Oh my god.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is one of the effects you eat it and pretend you're Yarmonger and you have to eat the face of your friend off?
good lead in, Chris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good lead-in.
Way to give the punchline. So,
If not,
so,
it
Yeah,
should
I
be.
don't, I
so
don't
let-
have that on there, but maybe I'll
oh,
consider it.
Oh,
just,
maybe
just
needs to get pulled in there because
yeah, all right. Let
yeah,
me
go ahead, go ahead.
let me tell her the story. That way she's not completely in the dark here. So we were at Gary Con our first year, and it was our first game of Pirate Borg. None of us had ever played it before, as far as I know. And we were going through, it was Venom in the Veins, I think was the
Mhm.
module.
Yep.
And I was playing a roguish type character. I don't remember specifically which one. And I had done nothing the entire module. I was just sort of there in the back. And in the beginning, I had determined that my character's goal was just to collect ash. And along the way, somebody dies. So I take their ash. And then I think I traded one of
Me.
us. Yeah, okay. So I traded for Chris's ash. So at the end of the game, I've got like three ash. I don't know what they call it, vials of ash or effects of it. And my goal was when we get to the last battle, I am just going to take all of the ash and see what happens. And we get to the last room, and there's some like snake people or something in there. And my turn
Mhm.
comes up. I take the ash, I roll randomly, and I think I am a crocodile. Okay, all right. I think I'm a crocodile. I'm just, what do crocodiles do? They're gonna eat things, and I'm gonna attack the nearest thing to me, which just happened to be Chris's character. So he rolls. I'm pretty sure you crit failed your
I did.
defense. Yeah, he crit fails his defense roll. I roll maximum on damage, and I ended up just killing his character in our first Pirate Board game. So be very wary of Ash. Be very wary of it.
However, if you spend Devil's Luck, you wouldn't have to roll max. You could just automatically do max. A tip for those who want to kill their friends in any Borg,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
always do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I should have just done that to him. Yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
great.
Fantastic.
So yeah, if you
Yeah.
want to have one of the effects where you think you're Yarmonger and you got to eat Thor or some shit,
Mhm,
yeah, there you go. Your nearest ally is Thor.
Yeah, at that point, I was very much sold on Pirate Borg. I was like, this game's great. I love it.
Yeah.
So I saw you were recently at MomoCon, which is local to Christian and I. We're both in the Metro Atlanta area. Neither of us actually made it out this year, but did you run your Viking Day adventure there, or Gauntlet
I
of the Gods?
actually
Or
was running a naval combat scenario. Just meet my friend came with me, Brandon, and he was running it as well. It's just to show people like a 2 hour little adventure. Like this is kind of how naval combat works, and just really focusing on getting people used to the difference of it. It was kind of neat because I had some people who'd never played a Borg before. It was
Mhm.
kind of it was kind of heartwarming to be like, oh, if they like Borg, then Ragnaborg will always be their first Borg. So that's cool.
Aw.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So I get to teach them all about Ash and all that stuff. So
Well,
it's cool.
Yeah. Um, so one of the best things about Fireborg, I recall, is that Limithron made basically a character. Everything that you need to build the character is on a single sheet, and that you can
Yeah.
even roll into the game using that sheet as your character. Since so like everybody when we first got there for Venom Veins said, here's a sheet. Everything you need to know is right here, and I'm explaining it as you guys are going through it. Are you going to be create something like that for Ragnaborg as well, just so everyone can just randomly create their characters and just roll right into a game?
Yes, so we have the stylized one that you see on the Kickstarter, which is like the very standard, like pretty Morkborg, kind of style sheet that's a
Yeah.
tearaway. And then we have a take on that. I talked to Luke about it because I was like, hey, want to make sure you're cool with this. He's like, I stole it from Mothership. I was like, cool. All right. Then I'm going to do the same. And so
Inspired by Mothership.
inspired by. So he was inspired by Mothership. I was
Yeah.
inspired by his. And
Yeah.
so I showed it to him at Gen Con. I was just like, kid, look at it, tell me what you think. And so yeah, we've been using them at cons
Cool.
this year, and I'm going to make a couple tweaks just because like some people have said that like have limited eyesight, some of the text is too small, so we're going to bump up that. But yeah, we'll have that out for like people to download and use for free once the book is out. So if you want to roll up a character, and it maybe takes 5-10 minutes to do on one piece of paper.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I really enjoyed about Mothership and Pirate Borg is we sat down. I didn't know these games. I'd never played these games, and our characters were done within 15 minutes for every single person at the table, and right into the game, just quick and easy. Like Pirate Borg, I bought it this past Gary Con. I'd played it the one before that, and I bought it, played 2 more games of it this year at Gary Con. I came home, I hadn't even read the book, and I was able to run the game. Like
Yeah.
it's easy, it's smooth, it plays great, and you don't there's not a buttload of rules that you have to know to run these things.
No, not really. And it also helps and runs so smoothly just because, hey, you're gonna make an attack, or this monster's attacking you. Make a DR12 roll to see if you get hit or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I don't have to roll dice as the DM, which is just.
I didn't roll a single die when I ran a game of it. I was like, nope,
Yeah.
it's all on you.
No, that's something I think
Yeah.
the only time I will roll anything is naval combat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing those rules. It's
Yeah,
that's awesome.
definitely.
You got to play test them last weekend. So speaking of naval combat, I saw that you posted a couple weeks ago that you're going to be writing something with Bill Harvat of Righteous Vow, something called Righteous
Yeah.
Violence.
Righteous violence, yeah. Bill's really cool. We kind of bonded over our love of Dungeon Crawler Carl with his Shadow Crawler Carnage. I think that's the order it goes in. But yeah, it's for Dark Space and Shadow Dark. And
Okay.
so, yeah. we were kind of talking, and we have some friends who are also doing like a Kickstarter in July, and he was like, "I've got a thing for Pirate Borg," and I kind of had the same, just in my back pocket. And he was like, "What if we did Righteous Violence?" So it's just it's a double like sided zine is kind of what we're thinking.
Hmm.
And I play tested it actually Friday night with my home group just to make sure that I liked the way it went. Um, but yeah, mine's Lucky Devils is the name of my adventure.
Yeah, you'll have
Looking
It's
forward
to.
all
to
about
kickstarting that
devil's
too.
luck.
Yeah, awesome.
I like the pun. Very nice.
Yeah.
So has
Okay.
your as a writer and designer of games, does your home group often serve as your kind of like test bed for your games? Are they the guinea pigs that beat up all the stuff that you come up with before it gets further?
I would say 9 times out of 10, yes. Sometimes I get a wild hair before I go to a con, and and it's my ADHD, and I'm just like, I'm sick of running whatever. And so I'll just come up with something the night before, and I'll throw it together and just see how it goes at the con, which I don't know if is a great idea because it's like somebody's first intro to your game. And you're like, hey, buy this. However, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's just nice to try something new. Um, but I would say most of the time, yeah, it is my friends and uh my husband. So yeah.
It's always the most fun to beat up on your friends.
Hmm.
Yeah, we've been playing together for about a decade now. And so they are actually some of the people who inspired me. Like they were like, you should listen to go to Gary Con. They've kind of encouraged me to try. So they're good people.
Yep. Yeah, Gary Con it quickly became our favorite con to go to. Not like I'd been to a whole lot of cons, but generally the ones we go to are much bigger and
Mhm.
less gaming focused.
Yeah,
Uh,
we've.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to tell people to go to Gary Con because it's getting kind of big. Um,
I
but I
mean,
want people to go to Gary Con because I love it. So
I think Luke's going to continue to cap it. I mean, he's not moving the
yeah,
site, and
good.
there's
I
only
don't
so
want it
much.
to
There's
move.
only so much space you can, or so much you can do. I mean, it was pretty big last year. Like the fact that they ran Pirate Borg in the water park was A, cool. B, kind of sucked because I was looking because we were staying at the water park and I wanted to like float down the lazy river after a long day of gaming, but I wasn't able
Hmm.
to because there was a bunch of pirates in there. But the other
Yeah.
part was at the same lodge there they had games set up in like the stair hall. Like
yeah.
the extra
Wow.
space like at the like the landing of the stair hall. I'm like, okay guys, that might be a little much.
I
But
guarantee if you dressed up like a mermaid and floated around that lazy river, I guarantee you Tyler would not complain.
Probably not.
Merman.
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 Yeah,
Uh,
that'd be great. Yeah, it was great. The my final game at GaryCon was there for the huge knockdown draw out of everybody trying to, I think it was 8, 9 tables trying to stop a ritual to summon the ghostly pirate ship that was going to basically take us all out. And it was just a mass combat, and Tyler was running back and forth all in his pirate gear, and essentially just dropping in and making people make this roll or that roll, and it was a great time. And the fact that we were just surrounded by water and just hopping up and walking over to a massive, rather than having like the miniature scale naval combat, like they had the full size like miniature. When I say miniaturized, I mean like uh scale figures for your typical D&D scenario, that size naval combat. So you have like a 3-foot ship facing off against another 3-foot ship as we're fighting the British, uh, and then going back to the table and then having ship to ship combat from afar. It was just very interesting, and was a lot of fun for sure. But GaryCon is absolutely our jam. But I think Christian and I went to DragonCon for many years. Have you run any games there?
I've never been to that one. I was told that it's not very tabletop focused, so I
Not
kind of
anymore.
Not anymore.
yeah. And I was told it's bigger than Gen Con, and to me Gen Con feels too big. So I kind of wrote it off as not for me.
Dragon Con is way too big.
Yeah, I mean, I know Dan. We were both going when we were in high school, which is
Yeah.
many years behind us.
Mhm.
So then it was a little more gaming focused, but even then you could see that it was like the wheels were starting to come off. But
Yeah, I mean, industry people don't tend to show up at DragonCon anymore. There's lots of vendors. There's huge vendors hall. It's really spread out. Lots of hotels. Um, when Christian and I first started going in the '90s, which I think
mhm.
tells everyone's our age.
Mhm.
We were in high school and we're gamers, always have been. That's what we were there for. There was a little bit of cosplay. There's a fair amount of panels, lots of authors and stuff there. Magic was first starting to get big, so people were showing up and selling that. But after the '90s and into the 2000s, it was rare that you'd really see many industry people there. Like the guys from Paizo and Pathfinder were there in the early mid 2000s, whenever the 3.5 kind of had the split off and 4.0 started, and Pathfinder was getting big. And then I guess really the last time in the 2010s that I recall like any industry people showing up of note was the Shadowrun guys from
Yep.
Catalyst.
Yeah, we
And,
did that.
we showed up and did a huge Shadowrun cosplay, all looking all cyberpunky. And since then, they actually kind of shuffled off all of tabletop gaming to, I forgot the name of it. It's part of Peachtree Center, but it's like it's in this huge area where it's fine to game in it, because I went and, like, one of my friends wrote his own game as well, and did his like sword and sorcery game there, and it was fine. And there's a ton of people that show up for it, but it's just kind of like an afterthought now, is what it feels
Yeah.
like for Dragon Con.
It's been banished from the main con to this like
Yeah.
other area.
Which I
Because
kind of
they
don't
have
mind,
anything else to do.
because I kind of don't mind because it's quiet as opposed to the rest of the con, which is loud and drunk the entire time.
Yeah, but you do kind of feel like a second-class citizen.
Yeah, you do.
But I mean, you can get the loud and drunk at Gary Con just fine too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, for sure. But I don't know, like,
It's not at the same
Dragon
level.
Con's not what it was.
No.
Yeah.
It's definitely huge, and happens also the same weekend as what football homecoming or something. Christian, you would know. What is it that always happens with all the
A lot of time there's rivalry games. I don't think it's rivalry weekend, but it's usually during a tech game. It's not the Georgia Tech game, because that
Mhm.
would be a whole nother beast. But
Yeah, but
Dragon Con. When is
Yeah.
Dragon Con?
Labor Day
Labor
weekend
Day.
every year.
Okay,
Boo.
yeah. So it's during football season.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
So
One you might look into though, Erica, is LugCon, Level Up Games Con.
Yeah, no, Brian was telling me about that. Creature Creation, he made Vast Grim. He was encouraging me to, and I told him, I said, I had heard about it. I was interested, but we're actually going to do a family vacation
Oh, okay.
that period. So maybe next year.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Christian and I went last year. I think was the first or second year they're doing it. And we saw
was their first year.
Brian from Vasgrim there. He was in the dealer's hall. The dealer's hall was a little slim because obviously people didn't want to commit to it, but I think they just confirmed Chaosium is going to be there.
I saw
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Kind of a
Yeah.
big name, but
Oh,
we
yeah.
showed up there and played Daggerheart for the first time. And that was a pretty good time. And the location, it didn't have quite the feel of GaryCon quite yet, because you didn't have a lot of the creators there. You had some, but it just had a very nice small con feel where tabletop gaming is the primary, card gaming is maybe secondary. And huge board gaming room. It was a very, very chill local con, and I'm happy they're doing it again. And
So-
the guys from Level Games are very nice.
Yeah.
They just opened up a new. They moved my local store, which kind of pisses me off because I guess the rent went up 3 times what they had been paying. So now they're way up north near the Mall of Georgia, which, God, if I can avoid going to a mall ever again.
So
Great.
Chris, what were you gonna say?
I was just going to ask a question about who wins in a fight, pirates or Vikings, and I think it's a bit more of a
Okay.
Well,
like
no,
so.
I pitched an idea to Tyler. I don't know, it was a year or two ago, something like that. And I was like, hey, I would like to do a table at a con where half the table is Vikings, half the table is pirates. And because in Broken Midgard, as like a nod to them, I kind of did. There's an area where the pirates have come in and they've like crashed onto a shore of a country, and they're there, just as like and so I asked Tyler, I was like, would you be cool with me doing that? And he was like, yeah, if you want to do that and just, you know, run whatever it is that you have in mind for it, go for it. So eventually at a con, I would like to do that where you get to play as both. You can, if you want to sit on the pirate side, you can. If you want to sit on the Viking side, you can.
So would that be like a PvP scenario, like
No,
a six person group of Vikings for 6-person group of pirates?
it could be. It depends on the players. Like if the players decide that they want to do that, then I allow it. Absolutely. I had a group of friends who rented out a table like at Gen Con. They bought up the whole table. There was like 4 of them, and they said, "We don't want to go on an adventure. We just want to throw down." And I said, "Okay, cool. Let's figure out. Let's do that." So, that's all they did for 2 hours was they wanted to see who was the Vikingest Viking in their group. So we did that.
I would
That's
love to
pretty
see.
awesome.
You could do like a like the old tournament style modules where you're not
Mhm.
necessarily directly fighting, but you're all competing, and there can only be
Yep.
one winner.
Oh
So like,
yeah,
is
trying
it
to go
Team
for the
Viking
same
or Team
goal, 2
Pirate that's going
different
to come
tables
out on top
playing.
and claim the prize? That would be
Yeah,
cool.
that's kind of what I was thinking about doing actually. Was like you have a goal that's your kind, but it's you're there together, but you want your team, your side to win.
Yeah, I've seen that play out a
Yeah.
number of different ways where essentially it's parallel adventures running, and then either you win based on the points scored at the end, or at the end whoever is in the lead gets some sort of a benefit or something like that, and then they do actually throw down at the end because at the end of the day, people want to see pirates fight Vikings for sure.
I mean,
I say you just
Eh,
throw in ninjas. Someone has to have a ninja Mork Borg out there.
You know there is
there
one.
is one.
Yeah,
There's 2. There's Ninja Borg and then there's Ronin.
So
I have
so
seen Ronin, so that fantastic.
so now you just
Um,
created
Yeah,
Ragnarok gladiators,
I
and
missed
Yeah.
I missed the
We have
first
talked
Ronin.
about doing that at a con for a special event. I pitched it to some of the other Borg creators. It was like if we could do this as a charity, we do Borg. I want to call it like Borg Bash, and
oh yeah, you can have a celebrity board kill 'em off charity event. Hell yeah,
yep,
Oh
that's a
yes.
great
and it's
idea.
just bashing all the Borgs together. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it'd be something fun to do as a charity thing. Yeah, I got to get my book out that way I
Oh
can,
yeah.
you
Too
know,
many ideas.
uh,
Yeah.
there's so many ideas.
I mean
It's
that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, just
yeah.
just a giant arena of Borg versus Borg.
Yeah, it'd be so
Yeah.
much fun, and especially if I could get some of the creators, like if they're all at the show, and we get them to come in. Like I was talking to Zach Goins and Eric Lillard and Frank who made Raptor Ruckus. I was like, how awesome would it be to bring like your dinosaurs in, and because it's like a Jurassic Park hack. And so, we have dinosaurs, and Vikings, and pirates, and
yeah.
space worms, and just,
Mhm.
The bunnies. We can't forget about the
the
bunnies.
bunnies.
The bunny boy. Yeah, well, I
Absolutely.
mean, more dangerous than they look. Much more dangerous than they look.
For sure.
So Erica, like, so this is Vikings. We've talked a lot about Pirate Borg, and
Yeah.
what have you always just been into Vikings? Is that Vikings just been a thing for you, or is it something that came up because of this? I know you kind of talked about the intro story a little bit, but like, it sounded like you knew everything about Vikings just going into it.
No, I did not.
Oh,
I knew some. I definitely have read way more books now about it than before. Before I had never really watched like the show or anything. I would I think I started going to Ren Fair. I want to think it's been like 10 to 15 years ago. It was when me and my husband started going. And that's where I was introduced to like the Viking, you know, aesthetic. It all started with the aesthetic. And then I started seeing the mythology, and I bought a book at Ren Fair that was like the sagas, and I read
Mhm.
through it. It's not been something that has been prevalent in my life, like growing up. I grew up in a Southern Baptist Christian household, went to a
Mhm.
Christian school. There was no talks of other types of religion or mythology, really. I was always interested in it, but it was not something I was ever exposed to. Um,
okay.
but like Ren Fair kind of opened my eyes into it, and then of course, then I ended up reading the sagas, and then I looked at the show, and then I started seeing the bands, like there's Viking bands and pirate metal
Viking metal
Oh,
bands.
band.
Metal. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
my
it's so
wife, my
cool.
wife introduced me to those. She's absolutely in love with those bands. I'm just
Oh,
like,
it's
okay.
I saw a video of one of the lead singers in a blow up longship being in a pit at a metal show, and the pit is holding it up while he's singing, riding in the longship. And the moment I was like, okay, I have to Google that, find that, and take that to a con. I couldn't find it. So if anybody finds the link, send it to
Nice.
me.
That's
We
Yeah.
need
awesome.
this.
Yeah. We gotta build
Um,
this. We gotta build this long ship.
For sure. And then it just got even once Anthony was like, I'll pay y'all to do this. I was like, cool. I need to learn more. So I think I've read like 5 books just on runes to make sure I understand, like, to be respectful of a culture that I'm clearly
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
from, and making sure I'm not doing anything that I don't want to do anything with someone else's religion as well, and
yeah.
being
Yeah.
respectful towards that.
Yeah, I remember reading an article a long time ago where a guy was very upset that they were selling inflatable Mjolnirs at the store because that was his like religion, and he was very kind of hurt by it because Thor was just now this popular dude that existed. Everyone thinks he's fictional. And I was kind of thinking around the same time, I was like, yeah, my only exposure to Vikings is like God of War, maybe an anime or two, you know. So
Yeah.
it's really definitely been
Read some books.
skewed for a while, but yeah, I'm glad you made that effort because not a lot of people will. A lot of people just like, kind of take it and run with it, and come what may. Like I've been having to do a lot of writing for an Egyptian setting, and
Oh,
it's a pain to like go and like, all right, what's this about? How do I be respectful for this? How
No,
do I not
no,
cross
it's
the
not.
line?
It is
right.
a joy to
Right.
read about that stuff. Mm,
I do, but when I go, hey, what's like the folklore? And I go, well, it didn't exist. There's none of it. You're just like, well,
Yeah.
would this work? Like,
It's not folklore. It's mythology. Come on.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
and so like, I can't, if I had to run a Viking thing right now, all I'm gonna do is just pull from Marvel. So
That's the problem, buddy. That's
yeah,
the problem. That's how you're offending the guy who was
what
offended by the blow up Mjolnir.
what was your favorite book that you read in doing research for this that really stood out to you?
oh gosh, what is it?
I didn't mean to
I'm,
put you
I'm
on the
sitting at
spot.
my desk, and I think it's It's in my bedroom on my bookshelf. I think it's called like him. Hold on.
Uh,
Let me. I have a really bad memory. I have a picture of it. Embers of the Hands: Hidden Stories of the Viking Age. So it's more about their day-to-day lives, and it's written from the perspective of these are the things that we have found of like this is what their comb looked like, and this is what like
Right.
because their comb was shaped this way, what it tells us about them, things of that nature. Um, I think that's really interesting, like, because I feel like people focus so much on the mythology versus who were these people actually in their day-to-day lives
Mhm.
when they were not out doing raids, like when they were home with their kids and their wives and, husbands and, whoever, like how the women would, if they felt, spite towards you, they would weave a knot into some, the clothing or a belt, and that was like something in their practice they would do. um it was just, to me, that I think that's really fun to read about.
I agree completely. I'm a history nerd myself, so I read all kinds of different histories, and whenever I'm looking into a different kind of area or culture or time period, one of my favorite things to do is find a book that focuses on what was like day-to-day life for regular people
Hmm.
in this area,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
there's so many fascinating stories that you get out of that really give you a picture of the people rather than just the like big, amplified legends.
Yeah, and the mythology is something that I was inspired by for my setting. It is not, you know Loki never went to Helheim to hell and was like, let's make a drug called Ash. That's not part of their mythology. So
Yeah,
it's
you're not
it's
statting
very
out the
much
mythology. You're
inspired.
you're
Yeah,
yeah, it's inspired
for
by it.
sh- I had
Right.
some people who were like, that's not in the it's not in the sagas. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm didn't go for historically accurate. It's more of inspired by.
Yeah.
I've seen other Viking games, and a lot of them are more grounded. And I was like, well, I like fantasy. I like the idea of like having magical ships, that summon dragon heads and shoot fireballs at each other. That's cool.
yeah, a long time ago, I don't even remember the name of it, but on this podcast, we had talked about a role playing game that somebody had made about Vikings that was literally just their day to day lives. And it was the
Hmm.
most in depth garbage that you'd ever seen, where you're making rolls just to see if you can farm and till the land, and not really role playing adventure stuff. It's just role playing families and farms. It was ridiculous. uh,
Farmville.
yeah, Farmville as a role playing game. Like I can't even remember. I wish I could remember who this guy was. He was a bit of a whack job, the person who made it. We had a whole podcast on him a long time ago.
Well,
But
I'm kind of going through that book that you just mentioned, and like chapter 2, they have this picture of this skull that they found that I guess was hanged like a necklace or it's like a charm, and it has like runes carved into it with a knife that basically asks Odin and Tyr and other supernatural forces for help. That's pretty metal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, for
that sounds like
sure.
a magic item for sure.
uh, so one thing I do like to ask a lot of people that we interview on here is, where did you start in role playing games? Like, what got you
Yeah.
into them? What was your first introduction?
So I played a lot of video games. I know one of y'all. I know somebody mentioned God
Oh
of
yeah,
War, Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Of course, I played both of those. The whole trash boy, that all that's fun. Um, yeah. So I started. My introduction was my friend's husband. He noticed I played a lot of RPGs, Skyrim, BioShock, things of that nature,
Hmm.
and he was like, well, you should play the original RPG. And I thought he meant like Final Fantasy, and he was like, no, it's Dungeons and Dragons, and I'd never heard of that. And so we loaded up and went to our local game store that's still there. So the Game Keeps about an hour away, and there's just all these minis and monsters and this awesome, like all these the books and the dice. And we started playing during fourth edition, and he grew up in a household where they played, right? And so we started playing fourth edition, and I loved it. And I was like, this is awesome. Because, video games, you're limited. In this, it's like whatever you can come up with, as long within reason, I can respond how I want to. I don't have to click the three choices I have. Um, but it's in that group kind of fell apart, and I felt like I was like, I don't want this to go away. And so I started DMing for a group of my girlfriends that were all nerds, worked at GameStop. And I taught myself fifth edition. I taught myself how to DM through Nerdarchy videos on YouTube. Shout out to Nerdarchy, Ted and Dave. They're great people. And that's kind of where I started. I was just like, take them into the sewers. That's what they said, so that's what I did.
I mean, that's a legitimate way to
Awesome.
do it.
Yeah.
Fourth edition, surprising. We don't get many people who started with that, but
Only
Yeah.
Only
one.
Chris Swable.
Yeah.
They keep ragging and forth. They don't know the majesty of fourth edition. It's just something that goes over their heads. They'll never understand it.
You know what? That is true.
I'm gonna let it go. Yep, you're absolutely correct.
I never
It
have.
holds a
and
special
never.
place in my heart
I'm
because
fairly
that's where I
certain
started.
there's a
As
wonderful,
it should, yeah.
there's a wonderful picture of Christian and I looking very dejected and wanting to leave the table when our first opportunity to play fourth edition at Dragon Con. I think it was possibly due to the two guys that were. I mentioned Dragon Con people drink all the time, right? Normally, you don't get those people at the table at tabletop, but it was our first fourth edition game. There was definitely two guys that were just power moving and shotgunning beers, and they were really drunk and drawing dicks on the table and giggling the entire time. And just a picture of Christian and I think my wife took the picture, just looking at the camera like, when is this going to be over?
And
And
that maybe is not fourth edition's fault. That
yeah,
sounds more
I mean, no,
his
Maybe.
fault
it made
today.
like I had a similar. To be honest, it's not
We played a
exclusive.
lot of fourth edition that con. Actually, we played 4 fourth edition games.
Yeah,
It was.
so we had a good overview of it because we had like a low level, mid level, and a high level game at the very least. But yeah, it just felt like an Excel spreadsheet of powers and abilities in a board game. It felt like it worked well as a board game because you know
And
what? I actually picked up the board games
Oh, those
that
are
were
great.
that came out during that time period, and they were fine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they
Mhm.
worked fantastic as a board game. It just didn't feel like D&D to me. But
As a
then
DM,
again,
they're great for minis.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. See, this explains a lot because Chris has this miniatures addiction also.
I mean,
There it is.
Yeah. I
we
mean,
we figured you out, Chris.
But
fourth
this is
edition is very miniature heavy. I think. I think it's very hard to play at Theater of the Mind. But I guess since Erica, since you played fourth and went to fifth, how difficult did you find the transition going from fourth to fifth, or was it just like almost second nature? Because
no.
that's how I felt.
Because I wasn't allowed to DM in my original group. The DM, I asked him after he ran his stuff, and I said, I really want to DM, can I? And he said, no, you're not creative enough. And
Wow,
so,
what?
Wow.
yeah, I mean, we've been friends for years. So, I mean, it's just him, like, like my love language is like, I pick. And if you can't pick back, then we just can't be friends.
Okay.
But yeah,
fair.
no, he was just like, he was one of those people that's like, he has a death grip on the screen and he wouldn't pass it over. But I would say my transition I felt like it was hard because I didn't go to the game store to learn. I didn't go to I should have. I wish I would have. Um, but I learned from Nerd Archist Dave and Ted. Like that's who taught me how to DM and reading through the books. And I actually met them at a con and got to tell them that like their videos helped me so much. So I feel like it was difficult trying to figure out how to DM and then trying to explain to three of my friends who've never played D&D before how to play fifth edition. And one of them would not listen to me. I was like, Druid's really complicated. Please don't play Druid. And she
Oh
was
my
like, I
gosh,
gotta be a Druid. So she
I
made
feel
it
like
even
everybody has a
harder.
story like that.
Yep. But we made it through.
Please don't play the wizard. If
So,
you've never played wizard in this game set, this game, don't play a 15th level wizard,
so
please.
it's really interesting to me that you started in fourth edition, but now you're in Borg land.
I love
How did you
Borg.
go from fourth edition? I know you transitioned to fifth edition, but how did
Uh,
you get over to games like Borg
And
and things on that of
DCC
that
and
nature,
Shadow
and
Dark.
yeah.
DCC and
Yeah, so about 2019, because I had started running fifth edition, fourth edition, fifth edition, and then I ran until about 2019, and I went to Gen Con, the first tabletop con I've been to, the first con I'd ever been to, um, and I saw all these other games listed, and I was like, okay, there's so much more out there, and and I came back and I was like, guys, we can play so much other things, and they were like, and they just kind of waved me off, and then uh I just kept trying, and when I saw Morkborg come out and I grabbed it at Gen Con, I was just like, okay, they won't play with me, um, so I'll just run it at a con. So I went to a very small con called Warfare Weekend in St. Louis with one of my friends, and I ran Morkborg the first day, and then the second day I ran Pirate Borg, and so it started being a game that like I ran at cons, or if they would humor me for a one shot every now and then, but then I developed a different group because I found Dungeon Crawl Classic, and I was just like, I need a different group. So I mostly my group that I've been playing with for the last 10 years is millennials. And then my DCC group was a bunch of graybeards dudes.
Yeah,
Um
we usually
and,
are.
and I was fine with it. I'm like, I'll be your I was like, I have the books, I'm the judge, I'll run, I've got the modules, like let's go. So yeah. And we did that every Friday for 3 years, and then people moved away and that fell apart, and it sucks. Because I really enjoyed it. But yeah, Shadow Dark, I ran it for a year for a group of people at my local game store. Every Tuesday night we did a mega dungeon that is really awesome. It's not I didn't run the Arcane Library official stuff, but
Yeah.
what
I
Megan
ran
did?
Ave Nox.
Okay, yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, it's perfect for Shadow Dark.
It is.
Yeah, but yeah, I found myself as a DM, and this isn't a slight against 5e. I enjoy 5e. I don't know anything about 5.5. I can't speak to that, but I think it's a great game. However, I ate that sandwich for a long time, and I felt like I needed something different. And then found that the games, as we got higher level in play, became more and more exhausting for me as a DM. And so I wanted something that I didn't feel like I was so exhausted by when I ran.
hmm Yeah, no,
Yeah,
all of it.
I definitely
You
get
go.
Yep.
that.
Yeah, it's
Preaching to the
literally
choir.
literally the same story every one of us have.
Yeah, yeah,
I run Adventures League for my local gaming store, and I just at the end I just sit there and stare at the ceiling for a little bit. I just gotta decompress for a little while.
yeah,
It's crazy, but there's a lot of joy in it as well too. So it's not like it's a bad thing. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it, but I can definitely understand needing to decompress after a while. It's just sometimes it just goes crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's the beauty of the boards. Is just like the craziness is on the players to rebuild their character after they do a thing.
yeah. You got a whole long ship full of people. Don't worry if your
Hmm.
character dies. They go to Valhalla. That's a good thing. Um, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
best part about the Borgs.
All
That's
right.
right.
So we're a little over an hour here. Probably should be trying to wrap this thing up. So before we started recording this thing, Chris had mentioned to you that we're going to have you tell your grumpiest story, and it can be anything you want it to be about. You know, whether it's running a game, creating a game, being a player, and just a story of some craziness that happened. So what have you got for us?
So okay, I'm gonna clarify this. When you say grumpy, like something that agitated me, that like I was just like my eyebrow went up about, you
Sure.
mean?
It can be any.
Okay.
It can really
However
be any
you
story.
want to
Or
define it.
something fun. There's
It can be that.
difference.
It can be that too. That's fine. It's
Okay.
we're the grumpy dungeon master, so we have to make everything grumpy. But even if it's not, it's perfectly
Okay.
fine.
So, well, if we're gonna do grumpy, it's definitely something that's an eyebrow raise for me. I I was playing Pathfinder at my local game store. They do it's called Keep a Con. It's a weekend where they put on a con and it's all for charity. You pay to play.
Mhm.
So I was playing Pathfinder with a group of guys, and I don't know this person. I know I've seen him at the game store. He's still there. And don't sit at table with him because this just eyebrow raised to me. I was playing a character, not bothering anybody. Whenever I would take my turn, I would move my mini, and he would pick it up and say, "No, actually, you need to move here and use this
Oh
ability."
Oh
no.
And
no.
the first time I said, "Okay, thank you for your suggestion. Um, however, my character is going to do this." And I would moved on. And then the second time he did it, I was just like, "Okay, thank you for more. However, this is my character." Like me trying to be nice. And
Mhm.
then the third
Yeah.
time he did it, I just snatched the mini from his hand before he could finish. I was like, my character will go wherever I put her, and she will do whatever I choose, just like your character does, and everybody else at this table, because you're only correcting one person. And why am I the one that you keep picking on? And he had nothing to say to that.
Because
And
Nor shit.
so
Yeah.
misogyny.
he left
Smart.
me
Yeah.
alone,
Smart move. Yeah.
but it was only me. I don't know why it was only me. He felt like he needed to do that for two. Um, but that's yeah.
Yeah. That's a
I
grumpy
I
story.
I think we've all seen people like that, and yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Darkness Rising?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, look it up. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube. Darkness Rising. It is fantastic. Low budget, early 2000s movie about a D&D group. And they need a new
Huh.
player. So one of the players invites his ex-girlfriend to be the new player. She's never played tabletop role-playing games. And she reads through the book and she learns as much as she can and creates her character. And she shows up at the table and he tries to give her a character that he has made. And they literally
Mm.
kind of go through the exact sort of scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a story of something. It was something that I had heard from several women experiencing at game stores,
Mm-hmm.
and I had an all-female group for a short period of, I think it was about a year I ran for, and it was mostly women who was like, "Oh, I showed up and they wouldn't let me do what I wanted to do, or they told me what to do with my character," and stories like that. And I was just like, "Okay, this is clearly he's only doing it to me. I'm the only girl at the table. Everybody else is, is
Yeah.
male." And so I was like, "This is somebody who clearly is going to keep doing this." And so unless I push back, you know, and I don't know, the next table he sits at he's going to do it to another female.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or,
Probably,
and
yeah.
so,
But I
yeah.
think actually, Christian, you were there at LugCon
Yep.
last year. My wife has been gaming as long as I have, as long as Christian has,
Mm-hmm.
and we sit down playing Daggerheart. Never played Daggerheart before, but
Yeah.
we've been gaming a long time. We understand rules. She understands rules. And she sits down and this husband and wife sit down, and you can already kind of hear it in the tone of the guy's voice as he's mansplaining the fucking rules to his wife. And my wife, Whitney, turns to me and kind of rolls her eyes because she's encountered these guys before too, and she's just continues looking at her character. And we get into the game. She's playing a ranger. She's literally been playing a ranger in D&D 5e for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It's she knows what she's doing. The
Yeah.
rules for Daggerheart are easy to pick up. And he, like, in the middle of the combat, it's like, you know what you should do? And she's like, no.
Nope.
I know what I'm doing. Been playing a ranger for a long time. Yeah, but it was more fit. I don't. No. Just kind of give them the fucking hand and like, not gonna.
Yep.
Nope. No, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't need your unsolicited advice on how to play my character.
Yep. If I think it's great the want to help is great. However, how you offer help is what matters. If somebody
Yeah.
says, "Hey
Yeah.
guys, I don't really know what to do here,"
Yeah.
then offer it. But
Likewise, like Christian's son, who if this was his first game, would turn to Christian or I and be like, "Hey, what do I do? How do I roll? How should it be? How should I do this?" Because it's his first game. He's legitimately asking for help. She
Yeah.
wasn't asking for help.
yeah,
Yeah, a new player
Yeah.
assist the new players because they're new and they can use the assistance. But when somebody says, "I've got this," like, cool, you got it. That's where
Yeah.
it should end.
yeah, for sure.
I ran a kids game just a couple weekends ago, and my daughter wanted to play in it too. I basically set it up for her because she wanted to play D&D, and that was actually a big fear of mine when I sat down and I knew there's just 4 other boys showing up to play, and she was like, "Are there any girls coming?" I'm like, "No, sweetie, I couldn't find any other girls to play, but there's a bunch of boys. It'll be fun." And she was kind of upset by that. But that's one thing I did kind of like look for while I was kind of doing it. But they were all just so distracted with their own characters and their own minds with things going on. It never happened. And there was a little bit of like a nice camaraderie helping each other. Someone didn't have an idea of what to do. They would all kind of like throw out ideas. It was very collaborative. And I was like very grateful that it happened that way. But she knew exactly what she wanted to do every single turn. No one tried to stop her, even if it was a bad idea. No one tried to stop her. They just cheered her on, and I was very happy for that.
It's the bad ideas that make the best games anyway.
Honestly,
Yeah.
hopefully those boys grow up right because they started at a table with a girl and realized that they can game just as well as they can.
Yep.
I think
better.
Yeah.
People who act like that grew up in a basement full of boys and just are still under the dungeon mindset of the 1980s of girls can't game.
Yeah. Do y'all care if I share one
No,
story on that? I don't want to keep
please.
you.
No,
Oh,
please
yeah,
go for it.
I was running at GaryCon. I was running Castles and Crusades, and
Ooh.
oh no.
and I was no. I had been running it for my group at home, and we were doing Village of Hama into Temple of Elemental Evil, and so
Nice.
I never got to run that as a DM. So they asked me if I would run a section of it at GaryCon for them. I was like, absolutely. And so there was a gentleman who sat down, and he looked at me, and he's an older gentleman, and he said, I've never had a female dungeon master before. And I was like, oh, cool. Awesome. This is going to be fun. And he was like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. And I was like, okay. So I ran the game, and 4 hours later, he gets up, and I'm packing my stuff up, and he looked at me, and he meant it as a compliment. It's a backhanded compliment, but it's still a compliment. He was like, "You know what? I've been playing game for 40 years. I've never had a female DM. You did such a good job. I think I'll start sitting at women's tables from now on." And I was just like, "Cool.
That
Thank
is
you."
a weird backhanded comp.
That
For
is
that
that's
awesome-
Real
a
boomery.
boomer compliment.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
meant, and I know that he meant that in a nice
Yeah.
way. I know he did, but however, it was like, it's like, why did it take you so long to consider? Like,
Yeah,
why
no,
does
I
it
agree.
matter?
He meant it in all the best and had no idea how it comes off to anyone but
No,
him.
No.
boomers typically don't.
I mean, I just smiled it off and I was like, okay. I mean, but yeah, it is one of those things that it's just like, it doesn't matter your age or your
Yeah,
sex or whatever, like that doesn't limit you being a good DM.
Definitely
Nope.
not. It's
We
can
are
you
all
run the
just
game?
Yep, we are all just here to roll some dice and have some fun.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a game. It's all about having a good time.
Well, I am looking forward to Ragnaborg. I did back the Kickstarter for that
Thank you. I
shiny
appreciate your
special
patronage.
edition cover because I like those silver ravens on the black. That look great. So
Oh
I'm
shit!
excited
yeah.
You're into
for it.
that?
I can't wait to get it.
I appreciate that. You have a Kickstarter update coming soon.
Awesome.
I mean,
So,
they're hard to complete. I think when it comes to like tabletop art Kickstarters, like people understand that it take a while to get there, and as long as it gets there, eventually everyone's happy. So take your time, do it
trust me,
great, and
nobody wants this to come out more than I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'd,
been
I'd rather
3
it be
years
complete
journey for me.
in what you want to come out rather than just a rush job because you feel obligated. So
No.
well, it was fantastic talking to you, and thank you for your insight on the Borg and your DM and jury. You have
Yeah.
any final piece of advice for I don't know any DM out there?
Um, I don't know. That's just a wide open. There's so much. I guess just it is supposed to be fun. So sometimes I tell people like I will forego rules for epic moments. So if your players they ask you to forget a rule for an epic moment that results in joy, just do it.
That's a
okay,
good advice.
that's
Good
great
advice.
advice.
All right. So to wrap this podcast up, I think on 1, 2, 3, we all yay violence. All right. 1,
Okay.
2, 3. Yay,
Yay,
violence!
violence!